All right, guys, this is the start of the 4-2 videos. Now we're going to put this here and a foldable on the same video, and then you're going to paste these both into the same page on your ISN, and I'll show you how to do that as we go. So just to fill out this little bubble, as you could probably guess, 4-2 is all about reflections. So we probably should define it before we get too in-depth. So a reflection is a transformation that uses a line like a mirror to reflect an image. Okay, and we need to remember that reflections are isometries, so it is an isometry. Our book also calls that a rigid motion. And remember what those mean is just they create congruent figures. Okay, so all that means by a rigid motion or an isometry is that it doesn't change the shape or the size of the figure. All right, so now we're going to fill out the foldable that looks like this. So get this one out, and the first thing I want you to do is trim off around here, so trim off all of the excess. All right, so once you trim off all the excess, it should look like this. Now you see a dotted line here and a dotted line down here, so we're just going to fold along those dotted lines to where it looks like this. All right, so once you fold along the dotted lines, you should get something that looks like this where you could open it up and read the stuff. All right, now one last thing before we start filling it out is there's a line right here and a line down here, and we're going to cut those. Make sure you open it up and don't cut it all the way through, but just cut them to where they're flaps. All right, so after we're done cutting and folding, we have something that looks like this where you have flaps under each one of these. And now all we need to do is fill out the inside to tell you the rules of reflections. All right, so first we're going to look under the rule that's the reflection in the y equals x. Okay, so it's kind of the bottom left when you have your foldable open. Now the line y over x looks like right here that's highlighted, y equals x. And you may actually want to go ahead and draw that on your sheet because that is kind of important, you know what you're reflecting over. So if the point AB is reflected in the line y equals x, the image is the point BA. Now I know this seems like Greek to some of you, so let me just look at it. So what we start with is AB, we reflect it over the line y equals x, and what we end with is BA. So basically what this is telling us is that anytime we reflect it over the line y equals x, all we're doing is flipping the x and the y coordinates. Okay, so my AB comes BA. So for example, XY becomes YX. Okay, my 4-2 becomes, if I flip these, it's 2, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and plot what this looks like. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I'm just going to call this point A, this point B, and this point C. Okay, so if I plot 2, 4, and I call it A, when I sorry, this is 4-2, not 2, 4. And when I reflect it, I go to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I go to 2, 4. I would call this A prime. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and do B and C on your own. I want you to find the coordinates using the rule, and then I want you to plot it to make sure that it works. Now when you plot it, make sure you write the point name. So like write your B prime, write your C, and write your C prime. If you don't, on like a test or a quiz, I would count some points off. So make sure you label your points as well. So go ahead and do the last two. All right, this is what you should have got. So the point -6, 1 goes to 1, -6. And I'm going to go ahead, guys, and do this. This is my A prime. This is my B prime. And this is my C prime. And then my -2, -4 comes -4, -2. And when you plot it, you guys should know how to plot points by now. But this is what it should look like. All right, let's look at the flap under the line y equals -x. Okay, so just as a reminder, as I have drawn down here, This is the line y equals negative x. So if you forgot what that looks like, please do draw it in on your paper. Now, the rule for y equals negative x is if AB is reflected in the line y equals negative x, the image is the point negative B, comma, negative A. Okay, so not only now are we flipping places, we're flipping places and adding a negative sign in front of them. So remember, if a number's already negative, it would just make it a positive, and a number is positive, it would already be negative. So look at these examples below. Let's call this A, B, C, and then we'll go ahead and put A prime, B prime, and C prime here. All right, so X, Y would go to, we'll notice A, B goes to negative B, A, so it would be negative B. So here's my A, here's my B, so go to negative B, so it'd be negative Y, negative A, so negative X. Okay, now if we do these with numbers, my 4, 2 becomes, well, here's my starting A, here's my starting B, it becomes negative B, which is a negative 2, negative A, which is a negative 4. Okay, so if I plot that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, here's my A. I would go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my A prime. So yes, these are reflections over this. All right, I want you to do B and C on your own, which would make B and C prime. So go ahead and find the coordinates and then also go ahead and graph it. All right, so when you find the coordinates and you plot them, it looks like this. Some of you might have been a little confused because you noticed that my A and my C prime had the same coordinates, and my C and my A prime had the same coordinates, but if that's what you got, you were exactly correct, so good job with that. All right, now let's look under the tab that has the reflection in the x-axis. So I went ahead and I highlighted the x-axis right here. It's the horizontal axis that goes left and right. And we need the rule for it. So when we reflect over the x-axis, my AB becomes A, comma, negative B. So what you notice is my first coordinate doesn't change, and that the only thing that changes on my second coordinate is it becomes a negative. Now, if it's already a negative, it becomes a positive. Okay, so if I have x, y, okay, this is my A, this is my B, it becomes A, negative B. So my first doesn't change, and my second one, I add a negative to it. Okay, let's do these with real numbers now. So I'm going to make this my A, this my B, this my C, and then I'm going to write A prime, B prime, and C prime here. All right, so my 4, 2. So my 4 is my A, my 2 is my B. My rule is A, B goes to A, negative B. So my first number doesn't change. Okay, my second number, the only thing that changes is I add a negative to it. So it's a negative 2. So if I plot that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, don't forget to name the point. And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There's my A prime. So yes, that is a reflection. So go ahead and plot points B and C, and then find the coordinates of B prime and C prime and go ahead and plot those as well. All right, so after you do that, this is what you should have gotten. Now, I do want to note down here where I go from a negative 4, remember when I make something negative that's already negative, it turns into a positive. So that's why this is negative 2, positive 4 rather than a negative 2, negative 4. All right, last but not least, let's look at the flap that says reflection in the y-axis. Okay, so once again, I've highlighted what the y-axis looks like. It goes up and down. Now my rule for the y-axis, if I have AB, it goes to negative A, comma B. So this is similar to the x-axis, but remember the x-axis, we made the second coordinate negative. This one, we're going to make the first coordinate negative. Okay, and obviously, if it's already negative, it would go to a positive. Okay, so my first coordinate's my A, my second coordinate's B. So if I reflect this over the y-axis, my x becomes a negative x, and then my second coordinate, notices it just stays the same, so it's negative x comma y. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and label these points A, B, and C. A prime, B prime, and C prime. Okay, so my 4, 2, if I'm going to use this rule, my first coordinate becomes a negative. So that would be negative 4. My second coordinate doesn't change, so it would remain 4, 2. So if I graph this, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2, this would be my A. And then negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, still up to, here's my A prime. And as you can see, this is a reflection over the line, or over the y-axis. All right, go ahead and do these next two, and then we'll compare them. All right, so here's what you should have gotten for B prime and C prime. Noticed my second number did not change, and the only thing that changed here is both of these went from a negative to a positive, from a negative to a positive. Okay, and when you plotted them, this is what you should have gotten. Now, plotting them, guys, even if you don't have to, it's always a good idea, because you can really see if you made a mistake somewhere, you can generally see that it doesn't work. All right, now you're going to glue them into your ISM like this. So the reflection bubble is down here, and then your foldables on top. They both fit nicely on one sheet. Of course, if you want to make your bubble up top and your foldable down low, it's yours, it doesn't matter. But this is the way that I pasted mine in.